Hi, my name is Natalie Frey, and today I'll be pitching Rekor Systems, ticker REKR, to be added to the AIM Small Cap Equity Fund. Rekor is a roadway intelligence provider, and their technologies are driven through artificial intelligence and then continuously refined and made better by machine learning. Some things that their products offer is license plate recognition it goes quite beyond what the standard offer from competing firms would offer for license plate recognition systems. Most systems such as this only offer optical character recognition, which means just the letters and the numbers on plates. And they're limited based on speed and lighting and so on. But Rekor's system is much more advanced. It recognizes plate number, vehicle make, model, color, state of origin, and even directional movements, and is much stronger in adverse conditions for video collection. Then they also use this information to construct their intelligent infrastructure technologies. This is where they use the video analytics and capture real-time data to provide information and decision bases for traffic patterns, behavioral information, registration or lack thereof, safety hazards, and so on. The UVED program, which stands for the Uninsured Vehicle Enforcement Diversion Program in the state of Oklahoma, recently began in partnership with Rekor, and this involves the collection of data and the reporting of unregistered vehicles to the authorities in Oklahoma, where a citation is then issued, and this is all done to promote registering for insurance of the bare minimum requirements within the state to improve safety and just to overall help law enforcement mitigate this issue. Then lastly, they provide a lot of data management and decision-based analytics on all sorts of information that can be used by departments of transportation, government agencies, even engineering firms can utilize information provided by Rekor Systems for purposes of infrastructure planning. So if they wanted to add electric vehicle charging stations, Rekor Systems could be aligned to focus on what the most common type of electric vehicle in the area is, where they are most concentrated as far as electric vehicles, and what the preferred or most compatible charging station would be. This will help in infrastructure planning for effective and efficient allocation of resources. And lastly, law enforcement and drive-through restaurants. So law enforcement can use Rekor Systems to capture amber alerts and silver alerts, be notified immediately of traffic accidents and other areas that could use their attention. And drive-through restaurants are using Rekor today now through the MasterCard initiative to collect data on consumer behavior and optimize orders and overall increase revenue for the restaurants, as well as for card providers and processors like MasterCard. So just to give a brief overview of the applications of Rekor's platform, the first section is traffic and infrastructure analytics. This is the analysis of traffic patterns, vehicle types, emissions, data, and anything else that can be used to effectively plan for infrastructure products in a given state, city, municipality. Then comes the general live and archival video operations. This is the constant surveillance feed and customizable storage that can be used to review and analyze particular moments in time. Then there's the roadway safety and incident management portion of these applications. This includes the real-time intelligence on accidents, high-frequency speeding zones, amber, silver alerts, and so on, that can be used to report to authorities in order to best allocate their resources where they're needed. Recently, Volvo Cars has partnered with Rekor within this roadway safety and incident management portion on a project that entails the collection of data through Volvo vehicles for the purpose of predicting accidents based on hazard lights, slippery conditions, other accidents, stop and go traffic, and so on. And then lastly, the public safety and contactless compliance section includes things like the Oklahoma UVED program that I mentioned on the previous slide. I'm recommending that Rekor be added to the AIM Small Cap Equity Fund with a price target of $16.88, representing a potential upside of 34.59%. The reasons that I feel this stock is able to achieve the price target below is because of their product's superior capabilities in comparison with existing products in the market, the growing total addressable market, the value offering to government agencies on both the local and state level, Their shift to the SaaS revenue model, representing a stronger and more stable foundation for revenue growth, the strategic acquisitions that they've made in the recent periods in order to expand their reach and products capability, and the considerable contract wins for the state of Oklahoma as well as MasterCard within 2020. These both widened acceptance across multiple markets, including government and retail. So the drivers behind this thesis include the rapid revenue expansion opportunities on the table for Rekor as of now. They've got a lot of shots at big contract wins in the near term. The states of Texas, Florida, New York, and Tennessee are all in the process of constructing or passing bills that are similar to that of the UVED program in Oklahoma. Because of how big of a revenue win that was for Rekor, if Rekor were to win one or many of these contracts with these other states, that could lead to substantial revenue expansion. The second driver being multiple avenues for income. So in addition to the standard SaaS revenue streams, the recurring basis for Rekor, the company also has additional revenue structures depending on the contract type and size. For example, the Oklahoma UVED program allocates 25% of commissions to Rekor for every vehicle that, as a result of the program, registers for insurance with the state. And also the MasterCard drive-through initiative allocates $18 million per year for every 5,000 locations where Rekor's technology is installed to Rekor. So this adds a second layer to the stability of the recurring revenue streams along with these other revenue bumps. Then lastly, the infrastructure bill. The current administration of the United States has vocalized a focus on passing a $1 trillion bill relating to infrastructure development and improvement. Of that $1 trillion, at least $11 billion of the bill's funding have been identified as going towards highway and pedestrian safety, which Rekor's products serve very well and are suited for. So were Rekor to land one or multiple large-scale deals with relation to this bill, a substantial level of revenue growth could result. In order to reach a price target of $16.88, 3 different valuation methods were used. The first being a 5-year DCF analysis, which was weighted at 50%, using a weighted average cost of capital of 9.73% and a terminal growth rate of 2%, the intrinsic value reached was $14.23. Next, a price to sales relative valuation was used, weighted at 45%. The peer weighted average price to sales multiple was 24.82, producing an intrinsic value of $11.24. Lastly, a PE to revenue growth relative valuation was used and weighted lightly at 5%. The peer weighted average PEG ratio using revenue growth was 4.07, providing for an intrinsic value of $94.14. I do want to note that the reason this method was weighted much lower than the other two is because of the growth phase that Rekor is currently in. It's in a substantial growth phase that pretty much none of their relative peers are in, which drove such a high intrinsic value from this method. I did want to include it because I feel like the other relative valuation methods do not really consider the growth that's expected in the near term for Rekor. So I wanted to use this, but I wanted to make sure that it was only used as a very small portion of the overall valuation. The risks presented to the thesis for Rekor include customer concentration during 2019 and 2020. While they don't name the customers or contract values or number of contracts that do account for this, roughly 17% and 16% respectively accounted for their total revenue. This presents a fall-through risk in the event that these customers choose not to renew upon contract expiration, and if customer concentration stands at 17 or 16% at this time, Rekor stands to lose a significant part of their base. The second risk being the dependency on government budgetary actions. With a large portion of Rekor's addressable market consisting of state and local governments and government agencies, the composition of these budgets largely impacts the revenue opportunities available to Rekor. So should government budgets decide to allocate funding away from roadway safety programs, Rekor is at risk of losing large revenue opportunities in the future. And lastly, the size of competitors. Many participants within the OCR and vehicle recognition space are large in size, and they've established long-standing customer relationships because of this. So should the market not perceive Rekor's products as superior to the extent that they are likely to choose these over competing products, they might not be able to successfully capture a sufficient share of the market. So the key leaders of Rekor's management team include Robert Berman, the executive chairman, president, and CEO of the company. Prior to joining Rekor, Berman founded the Project Dream Foundation and has also served in leadership roles at 10 different companies. So he's very experienced and highly acclaimed. Eyal Hen is the CFO and principal accounting officer, and he's held this position for just a few years, since 2019. And Christopher Kadoch is the standing chief technology officer at Rekor.